Will probably became an addict when he's about 15 years old. My feeling is that when he blew his knee out playing soccer, and they put him on, OxyContin and things like that, started his addiction. And from there, he went for the next 13 years until his death with periods of sobriety. We put him through rehab at least twice, and he would be sober for a while, and then he would gradually slip back into it. Because in fact, I thought he was doing really well when he died, but obviously he wasn't. He died on a Monday morning early, and I had spent Sunday with him a big part of the day. We went and had brunch, and did little things like shopping and that stuff. We didn't go to a movie that day like we usually do on Sundays, and I even got a text from him at 8:07 in the evening telling me he loved me. And then the next morning he was dead. Black tar heroin, which is what is on our streets today, is cheaper than marijuana. So it's out there, it's all over the place. And so the kids, and he wasn't a kid, he was a young man, was able to get it very easily. And I think that so many of his friends are involved, and so when he gets around the wrong friends, it's really easy to slip back in. He one time told me that if I drink a beer in the early evening, by late in the evening, I'll be doing heroin. If you go to one of these clinics, almost every one of the places that we've put him in would have actually classes for the parents. And they would tell us that relapsing is part of recovery, that everyone who tries to get sober does relapse. And of course, the hope is that those relapses are farther and farther apart until finally they achieve sobriety. Well, unfortunately, our son was never able to get that to complete sobriety. And so that is the hardest part, is you dealing with the relapses. It's living with getting phone calls in the middle of the night from police or the hospital is a terrifying experience. And it's just hard living that way. I'm sorry. But it's a fear, and now that we've told people why Will died or how he died, I've heard from so many parents that are now living where we were 2 weeks ago in fear, and are afraid they're going to be where we are now in grieving, and it's a terrible thing. And one thing I would point out, by the way, if you have an addict in the family, it affects the whole family. It changes everything in the family. It's not like he's just an addict and my other 2 sons are not affected, because they are. Their wives are affected. My wife is deeply affected. I'm affected. It changes everything. And so it is a disease, and it's like having someone seriously ill with cancer in your family. And so it's not just, it changes everything. There's a lot of things you can look for. With heroin, as we were discussing earlier, little snippets of tin foil. When my son was found, they were little squares of tin foil. They put the black tar heroin in it, they heated up, and they snorted. My son did not use needles. He was afraid of needles. Then there's other things. It's the change in behavior, though, is the thing that'll give it away. I could always tell my son was high by his eyes and his voice immediately. Without him even hardly doing anything, I could just look at him and see. And when you start to see changes in behavior, changes in friends, when he was a soccer player, he had these outstanding, wonderful friends, and then when he blew his knee out, his friend circle changed to kids that you wouldn't want your kids to be around. And all those kinds of things, and so you have to be aware, and you also have to talk about it with them. You can't just ignore it. We did talk a lot, but and tried to deal with it. Probably at one time we were enablers, and then at other times we used tough love, and we did everything we could and different strategies. And so one time, for instance, after he got done with the Malibu Beach Recovery Center out in California, he was actually sober for almost a whole year. And so there were different times where we thought we really were achieving, God bless you. No. We thought we were achieving sobriety and that we were getting through it. See, to show you, now he's graduated from MSU. He has he was a practicing electrician, going to his job every day. He had a dog, he had a house, he was paying his bills. And so, you say, do you look for? I mean, it's not like missing work gave us any telltale signs because he didn't miss work. I mean, so, but there are little things you can look for.